Good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me here at the First Alert Desk. My name's Karli Barnett. We want to give you a look at some of the stories that we are following for your Monday. Happy Monday, everybody. I want to do a little bit of a roundup of some of the top stories that our reporters have been all over Metro Atlanta working on today, as well as a little bit of a look ahead at what we can expect tonight and, of course, going into tomorrow. So, a quick programming note, we hope you will join us tonight. You can join us tonight at 10 on Peachtree TV, as well as 11 on ANF, and you can watch us wherever you're streaming us right now as well. We hope to see you there. So we'll go ahead and dive right into it. But today was a somber day for those in Barrow County. It was the first full day back to school for Apalachee High School students. It's now been exactly 40 days since the mass shooting there that unfortunately claimed the lives of 4 people. 2 teachers and 2 students were killed. Our reporter Chelsea Beinfor, she was out at Apalachee High School today, and she shares a little bit more about what that was like as students have worked up to this. They started back at half days, have ramped up to now going back full days, but as she has discussed, some students just simply weren't ready for that.
As you can imagine, this is a very sad and emotional day for students here at Apalachee High School, returning for their first full day since 2 teachers and 2 students were killed in September. This has been a gradual process. Students first returned to a half-day schedule at the end of September. Today, they spent a full day on campus, along with campus security and counselors. Some students, though, have not come back. I spoke with a grandmother who says her grandson is in trauma therapy and is not ready to return to the classroom. Mom Amanda White says her daughter is doing her best to adapt, but still struggles with what happened.
Mostly she tries not to think about it, to move forward, because if she thinks about it, she just breaks down and cries. It's been really hard.
According to Barrow County Schools, the hallway where that shooting happened is still closed off. The district is also considering some security enhancements, like adding metal detectors and clear backpacks. Reporting from Apalachee High School, Chelsea Beinfor, Atlanta News First.
And of course, we do just want to remember the lives lost in that horrible shooting. 40 days ago, Christina Irami, Richard Aspinwall, Mason Shermer-Horn, and Christian Angelo, certainly still thinking of their families and everyone who was impacted by that tragic day at Apalachee High School. We are looking ahead to another big story, and this impacts all of you early voting starting tomorrow. It's going to last for the next 3 weeks, but starting at 7 a.m. tomorrow, you will be able to cast your ballot for the next president of the United States. Hard to believe that in less than 24 hours we are going to be having the first votes come in this presidential election. So we have our reporter Bridget Spencer tonight. She is at a campaign event, a voting event, trying to get the pulse specifically from Black men and their response to we know that particularly in the battleground state of Georgia, both candidates are vying for these voters in particular. But we also had our Atlanta News First reporter, Patrick Quinn. He was out at one of those polling locations today talking to people about why they wanted to vote early. And here's a little bit more of what he had to say.
On the eve of the start of early voting,
we are prepared for a historic turnout.
DeKalb County officials making final preparations for one of the most high-stakes elections in recent history.
We know that it's a presidential election, and we've staffed accordingly.
This year, DeKalb has more than 2,000 poll workers and added 2 additional early voting sites. For many voters we spoke with, they're anticipating the frenzy.
Why do you like voting early?
I'm sure that I get it done.
I'll get it in early this year just to avoid lines on polling day.
DeKalb now has 20 early voting sites to choose from for DeKalb registered voters. Cobb has a dozen and Fulton County has 37.
So all of our poll workers who are doing advanced voting training, so they typically will train in here.
We briefly watched on in Fulton last week for a final training. And here in DeKalb today, one last tune-up as elections officials embrace some late changes by the state elections board, like having to hand count ballots on election night and accommodating for the potential of USPS delays.
And because of the mail delays, we have been encouraging our voters to consider hand delivering their absentee ballots.
Those absentee ballots can now be returned at any early voting site. In a state under the microscope for how it handles this election, voters like Brian have full faith.
I think our elections, relatively speaking, are safe and legit and trustworthy. There's always going to be a few discrepancies wherever you are.
For elections officials like Keisha, she feels prepared, now encouraging voters, just have a plan.
Don't wait till the last minute to vote.
Right, so keep in mind that Atlanta News First, we are really your one-stop shop for everything you need to know election-wise. So if you have our Atlanta News First app, go ahead. You can look at all of these stories that we have on what you need to know as far as showing up for early voting, as far as election day, and some key dates that you need to keep in mind. Those key dates, we are checking those off the list as we get closer and closer to election day on November 5th. So the next one you might want to think about if you want to cast an absentee ballot, October 25th. But we have all of that for you on AtlantaNewsFirst.com. We also have more on what our two candidates are doing. We know that both of them have their sights set on Atlanta. Former President Trump will be in town tomorrow. Vice President Kamala Harris, she will be in town later in the week. So we have both of these candidates really campaigning hard right here in Georgia, and we have more on all of those visits. Again, AtlantaNewsFirst.com or Atlanta News First app, everything that you need to know. So we are still in recovery mode, right, from two back-to-back hurricanes, Hurricanes Helene and Milton. And as a result of the impact that it's had on the Southeast, Florida, our state, North Carolina in particular, that has caused sort of a ripple effect of some supply chain issues. That's something that our reporter, Madeline Montgomery, she's going to be focusing on that tonight, specifically when it comes to dialysis fluid. We don't maybe think about the medical implications of these life-saving procedures and treatments that people need, unfortunately, are having to be put at risk because of these supply chain issues. And earlier this evening, our reporter, Abby Kasouris, talks a little bit more about what hospitals are saying, as well as what grocery stores are saying.
The things that we use and consume in our life may come from around the corner, or they may come from around the world.
Chris Gaffney, supply chain expert, says Hurricane Helene followed by Hurricane Milton have created some glaring immediate shortages like gas or a rush for flashlights.
The help isn't coming fast enough.
Asheville-based grocery chain Ingles closed nearly a dozen of their locations in the South, flooding at their distribution center, impacting what can be sent all over the Southeast.
That's hundreds of stores that serve, for sure, us in North Georgia, all the way into the Atlanta market.
Long-term crop loss could have you paying more in stores. Georgia pecan trees flattened, peanuts waterlogged, cotton soiled, and millions of acres of timberland leveled.
The overall construction market, lumber, those type of things, skilled trades. If you live in North Georgia, you may all of a sudden see greater competition or longer delays because there may be people moving up into Carolina for a year to help them rebuild.
In Florida, the citrus crop took a direct hit, a major setback for the crop that's production has already dropped 92% in the last 2 decades.
Right. They're now looking at alternative supply and have for many years of oranges coming from Brazil.
All right, let's go ahead and take you back out here live because we have a big change on the way, and it is a cool one. I'm going to go ahead and take you outside now. This is a live look over Marietta Square. You are definitely going to be waking up to a big change tomorrow. You might not want to get out of bed because you might want to stay tucked under the covers. That's probably going to be me. I'm going to bring in First Alert meteorologist Fred Campagna. He is tracking some lower temperatures that we will be seeing overnight, Fred. In fact, probably already starting to feel some of those, I would imagine.
Yeah, definitely. It's cooling down quickly out there this evening, Karli. So let me just hop into the big chair here, or when we stand, so I guess it's not a chair. But yeah, I hope everybody had a great weekend. It was a beautiful weekend weather-wise. And we are definitely going to feel like fall real soon. Some are already starting to feel that way. So what's up? Hope you had a good Monday so far. It is going to continue to be dry. We're going to talk more about that coming up because the dry weather is not changing for us. So we said after all the rain from Helene, man, we need a break. We definitely need to dry out after that. We're drying out and then some as we go through the next week plus. So let's start with a look there, Marietta Square, and the temperature change since yesterday. How about Ellijay? It's nearly 20 degrees colder at this time than it was last night at this time. It's 51 already in Ellijay, and you'll be down around 40, if not slightly colder than that in Ellijay first thing tomorrow morning. Northern suburbs are in the 50s. Carrollton's already down to 55. Atlanta, Hartsfield, Jackson, the warmest spot, but it's 64, so that tells me it'll be in midnight. It'll be in the 50s by midnight and in the 40s to start the day tomorrow. There are those lows. So it's a first alert weather day for tomorrow, but it's more of a heads up than anything else. Just one of those where it's like, hey, it's the first time you may step outside this season and go, okay, fall's here. Look at that Ellijay updated forecast at 38 degrees. Tomorrow, sunshine, high temperatures in the mid-60s. Relatively cool for this time of the year, normal high 75. So we were much warmer than normal yesterday when it made it up to about 84. Tomorrow, much cooler than normal, 67 East Point, 67 Decatur, 64 Marietta, Sandy Springs, 65, Norcross, 65. Lawrenceville, Stone Mountain, 66 degrees. You get the idea. Colder still in the mountains, upper 50s, low 60s. And it'll be a little bit breezy. So that wind at times will make it feel a bit cooler. Feeling like mid-fall out there tomorrow. On Wednesday morning, starting to see some mid-30s show up as you go into the mountains. Upper 30s in West Georgia, low to mid-40s for the rest of us. Wednesday afternoon, probably the coolest high temperature that we will see during this stretch. And that's mid-50s way up north in the mountains and low 60s for just about everyone else. On Thursday morning, this is probably the low point. It could get near freezing, so keep your eye out for some frost advisories or maybe even a freeze warning up in the mountains, not in the Atlanta metro area, or at least in the heart of the metro. Would not be completely shocked if there was a frost advisory, West Georgia or the northern suburbs, but right now it looks like a low of 35 in Carrollton, 37 Griffin, Covington, Athens, LaGrange at 36. So this is a deep plunge of some chillier weather. Forecast low temperatures, as you can see, bottom out Thursday, still cool Friday and Saturday. Our high temperatures also bottoming out in the middle of the week on Wednesday, but then starting to climb after that very cool start on Thursday, 64, 65 in the afternoon, near 70 Friday, low 70s on Saturday, and we're heading for another really nice weekend. One thing you're not going to see here in this 7-day forecast, any rain whatsoever as we continue with dry weather. Sunshine continues on Saturday. It'll be mild by Saturday afternoon. Again, just slightly cooler than normal for us on Saturday afternoon, and then warmer than normal likely on Sunday. So I mentioned what a dry stretch it's been. Since Helene left at Hartsfield Jackson, we've had 0.02 of an inch of rain, which is about 2 inches below normal in that time frame. So just literally one shower, and a brief one, came through. No rain in the month of October. It's the driest October. It is one of the driest Octobers on record. The driest overall for the entire month was a trace of rain, so no measurable precipitation fell in 1963. So we can't break that record or tie it because we've had 200s. We have had measurable precipitation, minuscule as it is. But dry weather lasts through the weekend, and the early outlook for late October is for, you guessed it, more dry weather in North Georgia. Here it is, Atlanta's most accurate 7-day forecast. Don't be too alarmed by that first alert weather day. Again, just a little notifier to let you know that it's going to be cool on Tuesday and cooler still Wednesday, Thursday. We're not going to bother first alerting those days. By then, you're practically used to it, right? Well, maybe not. Temperatures in the low 60s Wednesday, mid-60s Thursday, and we're back in the 70s before too long. If you want it milder, just wait. Weekend ends on a nice note, 76 Sunday afternoon and 77 on Monday. All right, have a great evening. We'll catch up with you again tomorrow, and if you want, you can always check us out on Peachtree TV tonight from 10 to 11, and then Atlanta News First at 11 o'clock. Take it easy.